Nick Chubb was fantastic on Sunday against Houston in that 10-7 win. Of course, everybody remembers that 59-yard run, stepping out at the one, but him and Kareem Hunt both go over 100 yards. We saw what this offense was without Nick Chubb, and we saw kind of the impact it had on Kareem Hunt having to carry the ball kind of be the featured back. So the question off that game is, did Nick Chubb earn an extension on Sunday?
Well, I think he made a very strong case for himself. And I think the thing about Nick Chubb is that he has sort of become, in some ways, the face of the franchise a little bit. I mean, he's such a fan favorite. He's such a team favorite. He embodies the spirit of what the Cleveland Browns are looking for in a player. And that showed up on that last play where he went out of bounds at the one instead of trying to, pad his stats and stuff like that. So I think he really is Cleveland Browns football. And I think that, I do think that they probably would like to extend him. He's the kind of player that you would like to spend that kind of money on. And Andrew Berry was here when they drafted him. And I think that's a huge, huge plus for him, that Andrew would like to keep his own sort of homegrown players, even if they were from his first iteration. But yeah, I think he went a long way towards proving, but I think he's done that all along. Let's just say towards reminding people that he deserves the big bucks.
I want so badly to be the guy that's like, well, you don't ever pay running backs. We've learned that over and over again. And that is true. You don't pay running backs. You're not supposed to pay running backs. And every time we say that this guy's different, he's not different. But I just think with Nick Chubb, like, if you can sign him after this offseason, there's no fifth-year option. So you just tack it on to that fourth year. You put a bunch of money up front. And I kind of looked. So, like Joe Mixon recently signed his deal that runs through his age 28 season in 2024. But really, by 2023, when he's 27, they can save a lot of money on that deal if they want to move on. It's a deal that you can get out of if you want to. It's really the first 2 years where they absolutely couldn't do anything with that deal. And the third year would be a little expensive. Dalvin Cook is a guy kind of the same situation. So his age 28 season with years left on that contract, they could save a lot of money if they wanted to. So I guess to me, it's, first of all, because, there are some optics here. You don't want to just let the guy walk. He is a fan favorite. He does sort of embody what you do on this football team. Pay him for these next few years and then kind of reassess with that contract. If you give him a 5-year extension, it doesn't mean you have to pay for the whole 5 years, right? Pay for these prime years and then kind of reassess if you need to.
Yeah, I agree with all of those things. And I think you'll agree with this part too. It's part optics, right? I mean,
Right.
How do you let Nick Chubb go? I mean, this is a guy that fights his way back from injury. This is a guy that straps, straps the football team on his back and runs across the goal line, right? I mean, he breaks tackles like crazy. I just think that he is the kind of player that they are trying to build on this football team and have. If you're trying to change the culture, like you would put his poster up in the locker room and say, just be like Nick, right? Or you would get little bracelets and say, what would Nick do? And just have everybody wear those around. So he's more than just a running back, because I think you and I both agree, and especially in the world of analytics, you can kind of find running backs. You can go get a running back somewhere, especially when you have a really good offensive line. The other thing to consider here too is, if you are going to move forward with Baker Mayfield, and it just seems to me, and I've said this before, and I think you and I probably agree with this too, if they know for sure he's great, they can give him the extension. We haven't seen that yet. If they know for sure he's absolutely horrible, forget it. It's over. If he's somewhere in the middle, you have to give him his 5th-year option and just keep moving forward with him and see what next year brings. So if you're going to do that, you want that two-headed monster. You really are going to need Kareem and Nick, especially to play this brand of Cleveland Browns football on the lakefront in November and December. I mean, what did we just see these past 2 games? We're expecting more weather, right? We're expecting more weather this coming Sunday against the Eagles. So for this football team in this city, with that quarterback, I would definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean, a running back is kind of like there's sort of an analogy there with like when you buy a car, or like you know that when that contract ends, you're not going to have more value than you had when you first bought it, right? But it's still probably worth it. Especially with a guy like Chubb, you're getting it early on. You know, there's still low mileage on him when you sign the contract. Um, you know, in the case of Myles Garrett, you paid for upside, I think, and you're going to get a lot of value out of Myles Garrett's contract. There's going to come a point where Nick Chubb goes the way of every other running back that signs a big extension. But I'd be okay with paying for those early years, especially because of the Baker Mayfield point as well. If you're not going to be paying Baker 40 million a year, or if you're not going to know that you're going to pay him 40 million a year after this season, then you kind of need to have all that structure around him to make him successful. So right now it seems like even though this is an analytics front office, and even though it you know everything points to you don't sign running backs, I think you do it with Chubb, and we are starting to see more and more teams do that, especially with young guys.